Welcome everybody. Always a fun night for some sort of new information, but this is something we've never done before. We've never just talked about supplements. And it's actually, we changed this because I had so many people request, they said, you know, I take this, I take that, is this one good? What about this one? My friend gave me this one, whoever gave me, you know, it's just like I read online that this thing helps with this. Dr. Google might be like the worst and best thing ever, because you can pull out your phone if you have something and you can learn about it. You can also pull out your phone and everybody has the worst possible case scenario, you know, if you have this health symptom. And so with supplements, there's a lot of great things about supplements. Really never before have we been more able to pull healthy things out of a food with really great technology that can have, you know, you always hear about food be your medicine. You hear that a lot. Well, that's very true. We want most of our healthy nutrition, body fueling things to come from our diet. But due to whether it's some of the things that you might like to eat, or just due to some of the things that we've done with soils or fertilizers or transporting foods, not necessarily all the nutrition can come from your diet in most cases. And also for many people, they may have some sort of diagnosis, whether it's diabetes or high blood pressure, or they want to lose weight, or they're tired, or they have trouble with their thyroid or something. And there's all sorts of supplements out there, but which ones actually work and how do they work, and even if you find a type of supplement that works. A couple of things to consider even for food, not only does, for instance, certain non-organic fertilizers take certain nutrients out of your diet, like in soil, you know, there's certain things like iron or chromium or minerals that the plant will pull whatever's in the soil. Well, if the soil gets depleted of that nutrient, the food's not going to have near as much. An apple might have 1/50th of a certain mineral that it used to have 50 years ago. The other thing is, because we tend to like to eat food year-round, right? And I don't mean that funny, but like, you know, because food's shipped in, depending on how long it's shipped from the grocery store, or by the time it gets to you, food can lose up to 40% of its nutrition because of transportation or being picked too early. Like you hear about tomatoes get picked when they're green and then they get sprayed with this thing that turns them red and then they're sold. You know, so that ripening process didn't actually occur naturally on the vine in certain cases, and so it might have less vitamin C or less vitamin E or less magnesium than it otherwise would have, because it wasn't allowed to pull that stuff out of the soil toward the end of its growth process. Does that make sense to everybody? So we will go individually through every supplement that we personally carry and every supplement that was emailed, pictured, sent in, which was quite a few. I think I looked up 60-some supplements over the last 2 weeks. So this is easily the most research I've had to do for a talk, so we can be specific. So I wanted to make sure it was valuable for you. So to kick this off, there's going to be actually a couple parts to this, because everybody here, I would bet most of the people here take supplements, but everybody here is at a different knowledge base. So the first hour or the next 50 minutes is going to be all information. So we're going to go straight through. So if you have a question, write it down, because what we'll do then is, for anybody, the first hour is, like we promised, we're going to keep it to an hour and 10 minutes max. But write down any questions you have, and then what we'll do is, after that, we'll have everybody that has questions just move forward, and we'll answer group questions first. And if your question's not answered in the group, or if it's a specific question about your health symptom or something, directly following that, all three doctors will stay and answer any individual questions. So we'll do it in phases to try and respect everybody's time, but also give you the most information. The second thing is, you might have noticed you got 2 note sheets this time, 2 note sheets instead of 1, because I promise you're going to need to take notes if you want to remember all the information that we're going to share with you tonight. So be a note taker. Note takers remember the most. And also, we don't have a PowerPoint, so it's all the last thing that I put on there. We put the product sheet. I want you to know up front that this is not a product sales seminar. That's not what I'm going to be doing at all. The product sheet is there so that you can follow along more than anything, because there's a lot of different supplements. There's a lot of different information. I'll refer back. So there's a product sheet there so that you should be able to remember, or maybe not have quite as many, not as many notes. So to kind of get started tonight, I want to start with the basic supplements. So I've noticed several of the people that send in information, they send in about this one specific thing for this one specific thing. I had a lot of people talk about with diabetes, what about these diabetes supplements? And most of what I saw, they all were just very high in chromium. Now, chromium is this great mineral. It helps your body regulate insulin. It helps keep your blood sugar a little bit lower. Chromium is in a good whole food multivitamin because it's in so many vegetables. So you could be double doing a lot of what you're taking just by not taking a good multivitamin, taking a whole bunch of other stuff. That's also true for magnesium. That's true for a bunch of these individual minerals. Remember that vitamins and minerals do so many things that it's very hard to say what is this one thing that you take it for. We want to try and avoid that. Really, there's certain supplements that you just want to take for your health. So to talk about a multivitamin for a second, it's been proven, and Dr. Kyle's going to go through the research on this, but it's actually been proven certain multivitamins, the cheap ones, are worse if you take them than if you don't. There were several that were studied. One of them was Flintstones. Flintstones is full of tar, it's full of food coloring, it's full of dye, it's full of sugar, and it's all synthetic vitamins. So you're actually worse off probably if you take it, which seems kind of crazy, but the synthetic vitamins are so cheap you don't absorb them. Centrum Silver was also tested and showed that you actually are probably healthier if you don't take it. And there's one a days, and there's several of these vitamins. So people say, well, yeah, I can get that vitamin for 3 months of that for the same price as a whole food vitamin, but you'd be better off taking a whole food vitamin once every 3 days and getting some sort of real nutrition. So to start with, as you've heard many times if you've been to one of these before, you need to start with a whole food vitamin. If you go through the list of this, a whole food multivitamin is going to have vitamins extracted from certain things like vitamin A. The difference between whole food multivitamin and vitamin A and Centrum Silver is there's roughly 500 types of vitamin A in a carrot. There's one type of vitamin A in Centrum. So go through vitamin C. You're getting vitamin C from an orange. You're getting vitamin C from a lemon. You're getting vitamin C from something real. Vitamin D, one thing that I really liked is actually, I'm going to change my recommendation for most adults. The men's multivitamin specifically, they've been able to up the formula to get 4,000 IUs of vitamin D into the men's multi, where before they could only get 1,000. So most adults need about 5,000 IUs of vitamin D as a maintenance. You're almost getting that with this multivitamin to begin with. So we're changing our recommendation a little bit, where as long as you're taking the men's multi for all the men, you may only need to take an additional vitamin D, a couple times a week versus every day to get up to that 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 range, which is great. To go along with that, vitamin E, vitamin K, all these things, vitamin K helps your body stop blood clots. So not getting enough green vegetables can affect your ability to clot. Now, B vitamins, a lot of people say, well, I get these B12 injections. You all at least know somebody who does that. B vitamins, you can get low in B vitamins, but B vitamins and vitamin B and vitamin C are what are called water-soluble vitamins, which means you need to get them consistently on a regular basis or your body's going to run low. It's why people end up getting injections every month or even every week because it runs out of your body. It's water-soluble. Where vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K are fat-soluble vitamins, meaning that they store more like gasoline in a gas tank. So when some people, they'll say, well, I don't think I need vitamin D in the summer because I get outside and I work in my yard on the weekends and that sort of thing. And that might be true if you're getting enough vitamin D in the winter, because in the winter it might get so low that by the summer you need to get sunshine and take vitamin D to get your stores back up. Does that make sense? Vitamin D, for instance, to not get rickets, to not have your bones bend, it's the numbers, somewhere over 10 when they do it on a blood test. So medically, they'll give you a supplement all the way if you're under 30. That's considered really unhealthy. But now for health reasons, to help prevent MS, to help prevent cancer, to reduce your total body inflammation, for digestion, for heart disease, for these things, somewhere between 80 and 60 is the ideal range for vitamin D. So if you went to the doctor and you were at 31 and they said you were okay, you might not, your bones aren't going to bend, but you're not getting the health benefit of the vitamins that you need. So a healthy whole food multivitamin is going to give you enough vitamin B in most cases. So for those people that shoot out and buy a cheap synthetic B complex, you're really not getting a whole lot. In fact, I don't recommend for most people that you take B complex. If you're really low, we recommend that you take B complex for 1 to 2 months. So this is considered pharmaceutical grade. It's the top grade as far as quality. You can get your B vitamin stores up a little bit, and then your B vitamins are going to be supported through a multivitamin. So you can avoid taking all these excessive Bs. You can just get B through the multivitamin and then the food that you eat. So that goes all the way through. Now, Calcium, another one that I want to really talk about is calcium. Calcium, and you want to write this number down for those that take calcium. Calcium consumed over 500 micrograms a day in a supplement is shown to raise both heart disease and cancer rates. The way it raises heart disease, you say, how does heart disease cause calcium? Well, excessive calcium that your body can't recognize, most of the calciums that are not digested through food, they'll store somewhere in your body, so they store in your muscles. Some of it will go out of you, but some of it will store in your muscles. Well, your heart's a muscle and your arteries are muscles. So over time, if you take this calcium to try and avoid osteoporosis, you're actually having high doses of calcium will absorb into your arteries and cause hardening of your arteries, so it increases not only the strength of a heart attack, but the risk. So again, people take all this calcium. It's been proven for a very long time that as long as your vitamin D level is high enough and you get 2 to 3 servings of green vegetables and you eat a little bit of red meat even once a week, you're going to get enough calcium that you should never have to take calcium for as a supplement, as a replacement. And that is something that's still given out medically. There's even a lot of nutritionists that hand out calcium pills. You really don't need to be taking calcium. If you think you need to take calcium, if you're worried about osteoporosis, you really need to be taking vitamin D. You need to be taking whole food vitamin D. That makes a huge, huge, huge difference. Now there is 1% of your daily value of calcium just because it naturally occurs as they're extracting this. There's iodine in the men's. There's magnesium, which helps with joint pain, but it's a small amount. Zinc, which helps prevent with colds, as long as a bunch of other things. Selenium, which is a great detoxifier for your liver. Manganese, chromium, I mentioned chromium. So in the men's multi, there's 167% of your daily needs for chromium. So again, for helping with blood sugar regulation. So you don't need to take all these extra supplements. There's choline, there's and then there's a blend of amino acids, and there's a whole bunch of stuff to help you digest all this. Now, multivitamins, whole food multivitamins have to be taken with food. You need fat to absorb many of those things. So if you take a good multivitamin on an empty stomach, it's going to make you nauseous, or it might even make you throw up. I mean, that's how strong a real whole food multivitamin should be. So you take it with a meal with fat. It's very important. Now, the women's multivitamin is very similar, except it's been changed for a few of the women's needs. One thing that they still don't have quite enough of is the women's blend is still only 1,000 IUs of vitamin D. So for women, you do need to take the vitamin D pretty much every day. Is still the current recommendation, but it has similar amounts of D, K. It has the B vitamins in there, the zinc, the magnesium, the chromium, a lot of this different stuff. But then there's also, for the women, there's actually an extra antioxidant blend for a lot of the hormone-sensitive cancers. There's a breast health blend, again, for hormone-sensitive cancers, skin, hair, and nails. I know since I've learned that even if your low back hurts, some women will come in with high heels, which is hard on their back. I've also noticed, painting nails, wearing makeup, some of that kind of stuff. Women, you're just not giving it up, and I understand, but I'm not going to argue. But there is, consider this. Your hair grows faster, your nails grow longer. That's what happens is with if you have enough of these minerals and these vitamins, that's when your hair grows faster. It's when your nails grow longer and thicker. So some of the stuff that people pay all this money for in this beauty salon for the external side, really, if you get your body to work properly, the internal side does it better anyway for that thicker, healthier hair, for for thicker, stronger nails, for all that kind of stuff. Now, vitamin D, the only supplement that we show, vitamin D, to get enough of what you need, it's the only really single supplement that we recommend on a daily basis. One of the nice things is that it also has probiotics. Why do we put probiotics with vitamin D? First of all, vitamin D needs 2 things to be absorbed. It needs fat, because it's a fat-soluble vitamin. So you need to take vitamin D either with an omega supplement or with a meal. And secondly, probiotics actually help with absorption of vitamin D. So if you're taking one of these, again, cheap vitamin Ds or these things, if the vitamin D doesn't have these 2 things, it won't absorb as well, even if it's whole food, let alone if you take a synthetic one. Vitamin D, similar to vitamin A, has all these different forms they're finding out, and so it's got to be a usable form that you consume. So those are the 2 that we pretty much recommend for everybody. A multivitamin for literally every single person. The only people that can, I would say, don't necessarily need to take more vitamin D are people that have had their vitamin D tested in their blood, which you can do if you go to your doctor. It's free. It's included in your yearly blood work. Just make sure you ask for it, because not all doctors do it routine, but many do. So make sure you ask for your vitamin D, and if it's over 60 and you're not taking a supplement, it's fine. If you're over 80, you maybe can slow down on the amount that you're consuming, but you need to get over 60. That should be a goal for every single person. The last thing to mention about vitamin D, if you say, well, I work outside after work, most vitamin D is made between 11 and 3 a.m. when the sun's rays are strongest. So unless you get outside at lunch, if you work inside, that may be one of the reasons why certain people aren't getting their vitamin D up high enough. The last supplement that many people should take are omega-3s or an omega supplement. Dr. Alex is actually going to go into the omega supplements, but omegas are for people that eat less than 2 servings of fish a week. So if you're not getting at least 2 servings of fish a week, you basically need an omega. You need an omega-3 or an omega blend as well. So with that being said, those are the kind of the basics. Dr. Kyle is going to come up and talk about the history of vitamins as well as why whole food is so important. So let's welcome Dr. Kyle.
Thank you, thank you. Actually, I'm going to take just a minute when I start. I don't want to be Dr. Kyle. I'm going to be a salesman for the best supplements you can imagine. So give me just a few minutes. I'm going to sell you the most impactful, high potency supplements you can imagine. This is going to improve your heart. It's going to make your immune system work better. You're going to sleep better. Your memory is going to improve. Sound good? All right. So let me tell you about these vitamins. Not only are they packed with the things that are going to make all these things work better for you, but I'm going to throw in a few extras. I'm going to throw in some rice powder, some hydrogenated soybean oil. How about some lead, arsenic, mercury? Maybe you want a little bit of ground up houseplants in there? All right, well, a show of hands, who wants these things? All right, man, tough crowd. So I don't think you understand. I guess I should market this a little bit better. You don't understand, this is organic houseplants. These are all natural soybean oils. This is 100% pure arsenic. Anyone? Come on, man. All right, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave those off the label. They're in there. You'll still get the benefits of those, be it what they are, but I'm not going to put them on the labels. What I will do, though, I'm going to put them into a bottle. I'm going to put them on the shelves, and I'm going to make it so cheap you just cannot resist these things. All right, so you may see those good omega-3 oils. It's like $15 for maybe a month or two supply. I will give you 180 pills for $15. Good? It says heart health right on the bottle, guys. All right, you guys are a tough crowd. So I'm going to put back on my Dr. Kyle hat. All right, so you guys passed the test. Congratulations. What happens, though, is the things that I just listed off, those ingredients, and add on to that, you can add food coloring, you can add sugar, you can add calcium carbonate, which is essentially a chalk. You can add in all these other things, and these are all items or ingredients that I'm not just telling you were in there. They actually were verified by the New York State District Attorney, or Attorney General, I'm sorry. In 2014, Eric Schneiderman, who's the New York State Attorney General, started to investigate claims that supplements that were being sold at 4 of the largest retailers in our country were full of garbage. So what they did is they went and they pulled supplements from Walgreens, from Target, from GNC, and from Target, Walgreens, GNC, and CVS. They pulled 4 different places. They did over 390 different tests, and what they did was they did DNA sequencing so they could break down the sequence of every DNA molecule that was found, and what they found was stunning. 79% of the bottles they tested had 0% of the active ingredient it said on the label. Not one bit of what they said was on there. So if you were buying St. John's wort, there was no St. John's wort. If you were trying to buy echinacea, if you were trying to buy a certain type of omega oil, none of that was there. Almost 80% of those vitamins. So how did we get to this point? How did it get so bad that the New York State Attorney General had to write a letter to those companies saying, do not sell these in my state or you will be prosecuted, and they had to pull them from the shelves? Since that time, 12 other states have joined in on this lawsuit now, or joined in on this action, and they're actually petitioning now the federal government to start to increase the demands that are put on these manufacturers. And we got here, believe it or not, it was about 22 years ago in 1994 when Congress passed a law called the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. See, up until the early 90s, supplements were about a $2 to $3 billion a year business in this country, but most of what you saw were multivitamins, vitamin C. You didn't see a lot of those specialty things that you see now. How many people have walked into Walgreens and you see just a wall of all these different plants and supplements and you don't even know what they're all for? They passed a law in 1994, and what this law did was it said, we're not going to regulate you guys like we regulate pharmaceutical companies. You can put on there, you can only put on the label, you can say things like heart health or immune boost or sugar metabolism, but you can't say that this is proven to help those things. You can't claim that it helps conditions. So what it did was it actually took away any responsibility from those manufacturers. You have no legal recourse if those things don't help with what they're supposed to, so they were able to start putting in cheaper and cheaper ingredients, or no ingredients at all, because what are you going to do? If you go and say, well, I took your omegas, but my heart health stayed terrible, they can say, hey, we didn't claim that it helped. Sorry. So what this did was this opened up the market to large pharmaceutical companies. They saw a window, and they decided that they were going to take over this space. The major market, or the major vitamins that you see advertised, like One A Day and Centrum, those are owned by pharmaceutical companies. Centrum Silver is owned by a company called Wyeth Pharmaceuticals. One A Day vitamins are owned by Bayer, the same guys who make aspirin. And what they do is they make the cheapest form, the synthetic form of those vitamins possible. It marks up their profits. They don't have to worry about litigation. And this is where it became this cycle, is as the supplements grew in popularity and as they advertised more and more for these things, more and more people bought them. Doctors began kind of, I don't want to say prescribing, but recommending them to people more and more, and the profits go up. And they can keep these extremely low price points because they make it in bulk, just like anything. So we know how we got there. 1994, it went from a $2 to $3 billion a year business. In 1995, it was a $7 billion business. That's how much it jumped in 1 year. In 2000, it had jumped up to about 17, so it more than doubled. This year, it's predicted to do $35 billion in this country. And it's only going up from there. So the marketing is only going to get more intense. Profits are only going to keep going up. You're only going to see more of this. So when you're looking at a shelf and you're trying to figure out what the best quality of vitamin is, what you can do, unfortunately, it is still an industry that's very lightly regulated. There are, like I said, there are motions to start to bring this up, but as it stands right now, supplements are truly something where when you sacrifice quality and you get in these terrible ingredients, it becomes dangerous to you. And this is what Dr. Jared touched on. Food coloring is known to have very serious effects, especially on children when it comes to their mental clarity and their thought processes. It's one reason why children who are on the spectrum are recommended to stay away from red food coloring in particular. It fundamentally changes the way that they think. If you're somebody who's allergic to wheat and you have wheat in that supplement that you don't know is there, it's going to inflame your gut. It's going to affect your digestion. It's going to affect your health. So not only are you paying less for a vitamin that you're not really getting a benefit from because it's all fake and synthetic, you're actually hurting yourself. So when it comes to vitamins and supplements, there are 3 grades, essentially, that if you understand this, it's going to help you understand, at least get a better idea for where your money is going and where to best spend it. The first grade is the lowest grade, and this is consumer. Consumer grade vitamins and supplements are One A Day. It's Centrum. If you go into Walgreens, Walmart, it's the ones that are literally a couple dollars a bottle. They're also the generic brands, the ones that are directly owned by the companies. These are so cheap because they are synthetic. None of them comes from a natural plant, so they're made very cheaply. Imagine how cheap it has to be when they can undercut their competition, and they have to pay the manufacturing company, they have to pay the parent company that owns it, they have to pay the distributor that sends it to the store, and then the store has to pay their staff to stock it and sell it to you. So that's 4 layers of distribution that has to be made, and they're still way cheaper than anywhere else. It's like a $1 hamburger from McDonald's. You ever wonder how they can get $1 worth of meat and you can't do that for the same price? Yeah. So consumer grade is the lowest, generic is the lowest. Not only is it the cheapest, but it's also the most dangerous for you. These are the ones you see advertised. The next level above that is natural grade. Natural grade is good to better quality, I would say. The reason that is because they actually, if they can, they'll source from natural plants, natural sources, if it's cheap enough and if they can do it. Now, there's a lot of kind of rolling the dice in this category because you don't know exactly where the plants are coming from. You don't know if they're treated with pesticides, things like that, and herbicides. But it's a little bit better, and these are more established brands that you'd find at like a Vitamin World. Higher price point, better quality, take a little bit of research, and you'll find out which ones these are. The less one, or the highest grade though, is called professional grade. Professional grade are the vitamins and supplements that are recommended to you by doctors, by dietitians, by your personal trainers, by experts. And the reason that these are quality, or why these tend to be better quality, is because when we recommend a supplement or a vitamin to you, there's a very large amount of direct accountability. If you come back to us and say this isn't helping, we're hurting you personally. We're not just a faceless bottle on a shelf. We're not some company owned overseas that's making millions off of these bottles. We actually take accountability to see where the source of these things are coming from and make sure that the quality stays up. I can tell you Dr. Jared has personally toured the factory where a lot of these supplements are made. He's seen the process. He's seen the people that make them. And this is why, in our case, and for other professional grade supplements, the quality is always going to be there. That's why when we talk about supplements especially, the question is always, if you could spend $10 on something that does work or $5 on something that doesn't, which one is a better investment? It's the $10 that work, right? Well, imagine taking that the next step and $5 that don't work but also make you less healthy, that actually increase your medical bills, that increase what it's going to take to get to that range. Consider that when you look at supplements and minerals. Unfortunately, you get what you pay for, and the cheaper ones really are doing more harm than they are doing good. With that being said, I know Dr. Jared's going to come up and we're going to go through with a lot more information. You're going to have all the power you need to make these changes and make it last.
One thing I like about these supplements specifically is they actually say free of that whole list that Dr. Kyle has. They also say they have this stamp, it's called Good Manufacturing Practices, which means that while the FDA might not regulate it, we send it to a company to be regulated to prove that it's 100% full. Dr. Vita, the company that actually processes these for us, they showed that even that middle grade that's better, they only have to have up to 1% of the active ingredient to be middle, to be the middle of the road, which is kind of scary. So let's start with protein. This is something that people use a lot. So I had more protein sent in than anything else, actually, because I think so many people are doing shakes. So many people are trying to do either a smoothie in the morning or they're trying to do those shakes to lose weight. There's a lot of companies out there that recommend 2 shakes a day and then 1 meal for weight loss. Some people have heard of those. So to go through protein specifically, protein is often needed or utilized very well for after workouts, for a breakfast smoothie, for something like that. Especially for people on the go, a protein shake or a meal replacement shake can be really great. So there's several things that need to occur in protein. First of all, think of the source. So the source of the protein's essential. So for instance, is it from a grass-fed cow? Is it from a plant? What type of plant's it from? That's the first thing to look at. So when you look at the back, it's going to say the first ingredient is going to be protein, and it's going to say soy protein isolate, pea protein, whey protein concentrate, whey protein isolate. It's going to say something like that. It's going to have the different, the type of protein. The only time a person needs isolate is right after a workout. And most people don't even need isolate unless they're a huge bodybuilder, because isolate allows for fast absorption very quickly, so it's going to absorb faster for the first 15, 20, 30 minutes. Everybody else that consumes protein, if you take it in a smoothie, even if you're not working out incredibly hard 5-6 days a week, you want protein concentrate. Protein concentrate is more expensive because you have to keep it at a lower heat to keep protein concentrate. So some of those cheaper protein shakes that have the 30, 40, 50 gram scoops, the reason why it's so much in the scoop is because they've heated it up to 160 or 70 or 80 degrees to get the protein. And so the protein is called denatured, which means it's broken down. It's not in its natural form. And so to absorb 20 grams, you have to consume 40 grams. So that's why you have to take this big scoop. So an undenatured protein, you can really only absorb 20 to 30 grams. So undenatured protein, the scoop's going to be smaller because you're only going to take 20 or 25 or 30 grams in it, but you're going to absorb all of it. So if you say, well, this has twice as much protein as this, that might be true, but this one's still just as valuable. So consider that with that big again, that big tub. Also, proteins tend to have a lot of bacteria, so for those, I know many of you aren't germaphobes, but some people are. Poorly processed protein tends to grow bacteria. It's one of the bad sides of it. So it's kind of, I don't want to say dirty, but kind of. And then the other things about protein are, like I said, so like whey protein, you would want it from grass-fed cows, otherwise it would have similar things to a piece of meat that you would eat. Also, depending on GMO-free, added hormones, artificial sweeteners, flavors, colorings. Some people, their digestive system is sensitive to casein, so some milk proteins have casein in it. Gluten, again, soy we talked about. Sweeteners. So here's a couple things. I had several of these sent to me. So one was Shakeology. So this is especially, a lot of people do this for weight. So Shakeology, when I look through the back of it, it's protein isolate, followed by it also has food coloring. It has all these different things, but it also has a bunch of health foods in it. But it's got food coloring, it's got protein isolate, so it's not essential. I had somebody send me, I think it was called like skinny protein, so it was advertised as a way to lose weight to take this protein. The sweetener in it was sucralose. Sucralose, so it's kind of like drinking Diet Coke to lose weight. It doesn't work, because again, it's going to damage your insulin levels, it's going to throw off your hormones. It also had artificial coloring in it. It had multiple artificial sweeteners, and again, protein isolates, which people don't need, and it's not going to be long lasting. A couple that I had that were actually pretty good. One was some of the USANA stuff. So for those of you that do like USANA, this had undenatured protein. It does have, another one is Isogenics. That's the one I forgot last time for any of those that were here. But undenatured protein, so similar. The hard part is protein blend and soy protein isolate. The reason these are in here, soy protein isolate is basically the cheapest protein you can get. So soy protein isolate is the cheapest of all the protein you can get. Whey protein isolate, this is for the wild strawberry, for the Nutrimeal one. For the Nutrimeal free, this did have, this was non-GMO and it had some plant proteins, but again, had protein isolates. So it's better, but it's still not great because it's almost all isolates. Then there is one from a company called Genesis Pure. Now Genesis Pure did have GMO free and it had whey protein concentrate, it had plant protein concentrate, but it did have some soy protein isolate. So that's the hard part, is to really get a really good high quality protein, it's more expensive, and most of these companies, to get even a lower price point, they have isolate in there. So for any non-bodybuilders, if you look at the back, you pretty much just don't want to see the word isolate, and you should see the word undenatured. Those are the two things, and if those two things are in there, you can almost guarantee, without being a chemist, it's not going to have most of the other stuff. So if it says undenatured and protein concentrates, I mean, those are the things that you want to see in a protein. Now, plant protein, I'm just going to warn you, plant protein may be the healthiest of all. For those of you that eat plant protein, I applaud you. I personally can't stomach this on a daily basis. It is just too grainy for me. My wife does. She's tougher than I am. But plant protein, so plant protein's great, but it's not as tasty. You definitely taste more of the grain from it being. So if you can handle that, or if you like that, that's great. Otherwise, whey protein's probably the best for most. Whey protein concentrate's going to be the best for most people. All right, the next thing is I had some people send in our project is called MaxFit. Whatever it is, so MaxFit. So what do you use MaxFit for? MaxFit was actually originally developed for when we first started working with the Olympic teams. It's kind of weird. I'll tell you, I was just in Atlanta, so I was standing there getting a green tea from Starbucks at the little hotel we were at, and two Olympic wrestlers walked up behind me. It's weird to see people like that, but they have the jackets on there so this was what it was developed for, was for people that work out multiple times a day, and it was for recovery. I'll tell you personally, I take this on Monday and Wednesday because it's our longer days. I also try and work out on Monday and Wednesday, so workout plus 10, 12 hours of adjusting in that, so it's a longer day. It helps with recovery. Some of the things that are in it that are really good for you are it has green coffee bean extract. So green coffee, or decaffeinated green coffee bean extract, that's great for energy. It's great for recovery. It's also great for metabolism. So for a lot of people take this, you see it marketed as hunger control or for weight loss. That actually for people that are trying to curb their appetite, MaxFit would fit into there. The other thing, it has a couple different seeds. It has ashwagandha, which if you look up ashwagandha, it's this awesome antioxidant, so it's great for dozens of things. And it has a couple of amino acids. So I had a couple people mention, well, I take branch chain amino acids when I work out because they absorb better. It has a couple of amino acids in there. So it has some really healthy things for like I said, for weight loss or for body recovery, for appetite curbing. But the other thing is all these things that are in there, it helps with cortisol. Now, cortisol is your body's stress hormone that's released under stress, and what it does is it causes you to retain weight, and it also causes you to raise your blood sugar slightly. So that's what cortisol does. So for people that are in high stress jobs, they travel a lot, they work long hours, MaxFit is shown to drop your body's cortisol levels by about 25%, which is going to help with adrenal fatigue. It's going to help with your energy levels. So that's important. Now, I had somebody send in, there's another company that I thought in general was pretty good, and it was called Plexus. So this Plexus Slim. So Plexus Slim is very similar to MaxFit. First ingredient's green coffee bean extract, and then it has chromium. So again, what's chromium for? Insulin, blood sugar, right? So if it's Plexus Slim, it's basically got green coffee bean extract and chromium to help with your weight, insulin resistance. So there's an example of a product similar to that. The next one to talk about is CoQ10. CoQ10, your body naturally makes CoQ10. So most of you, this is not one that you need to buy. CoQ10, if you everybody envision a staircase at your house, stair, whatever. So when you consume food, your body goes through this chain of processes where you get energy from the food. So when you eat some fat, you go through this whole chain of processes, and at each one you need a certain enzyme or a certain catalyst to walk down the next step. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, right about in the middle, your body uses CoQ10 to do that. It's made in your liver. Now, unfortunately, we're in a country that worries way too much about numbers. How many people go to their doctor and say, my numbers are great, and only took 4 drugs? Only took 4 drugs to get me there. I took blood pressure pills, cholesterol pills, this pill, that pill, metformin, all this. So it's great that we watch numbers if we're doing it healthy. But at the same time, so here's just one of the plethora of problems with cholesterol drugs. Guess what statins stop? Production of CoQ10. They stop the production of CoQ10. So when you're taking a statin, for any of you that are, when you're walking down those stairs, guess what? You stop halfway. Stop halfway because you don't make it. Statins attack your liver, which is why statins cause liver failure. They cause muscle wasting because, of course, if you're burning out your ATP, your energy production, so these drugs have all these side effects, and a lot of people have no clue what they are. So this is, for a few people, this may be something they want if they have low energy. They might want to try this to help their body a little bit. But for anybody on a statin, this is pretty much a must, in my opinion. If you're still going to take a statin, you need to consume CoQ10. And of course, just like most things, like Dr. Kyle mentioned, they have this for $4 at GNC, but guess how much CoQ10 is in it? They're not going to tell you unless you pay for a multi-$1,000 test to try and figure it out, where you're getting 100% CoQ10 here. To talk about a few other products here, I want to talk about Max Greens. So what are Max Greens? Max Green is dehydrated vegetable juice. So how does Max Greens taste? Moderate. If you take this looking for like you're drinking lemonade, you're going to be sorely surprised. You're going to take kale, wheatgrass, all these different green vegetables, juice them, cold press juice them, which that's one of the things between greens powders too, is if you heat them up to get the juice out, you get more juice, but what do you kill? Anything that's heat sensitive. So cold pressed juice, then they dehydrate it, so that's where the powder comes from, and then they put it in here and then you dump dump it in water and stir it together. And so this is for people, again, that eat on the go. This is for people that don't get enough greens, that maybe don't like vegetables. Shake this up in 4, 6, 8 ounces of water, and you get multiple servings of the nutrients that are in the vegetable. You don't get the fiber, but you get the nutrients that are in the vegetable. Some people put this in their smoothie because they can't taste it then, and they like that better. Also, one challenge for the coffee lovers, the amount of chlorophyll and other green things in this actually has so much energy just within it from plant energy that a scoop of this is very similar to a cup of coffee in the morning. So it's another way for energy. So, to keep the energy ones together, MaxFit is great for energy. Max Greens are great for energy. And again, for people that have coffee. And so coffee does have some benefits. It's for the problem is what people put in it. Also, if it's non-organic, it's been sprayed with a lot of pesticides and that kind of stuff. But just keep in mind, too, with caffeine, caffeine raises your blood sugar. That's what the drug does. Caffeine raises your blood sugar by about 10%. So, again, it raises your risk of diabetes by 8 or 9%. So, so for people that are chronic coffee drinkers, because they're really busy, they may be stressing out their stress hormones, they may be raising their blood sugar. It does have some other effects. So the healthier you do it, the better you're going to be. One last one to go over before Dr. Alex comes up here. This is called Daily Defense. So I had several people send in to me a bunch of antioxidant stuff. They send in turmeric, they send in this stuff, and that's great if you're getting the right dose. Because like we said, what if it's 800 milligrams and it's 1% turmeric that's actually in there? It's not real effective. So the big thing we got to talk about is anti-inflammatory stuff. Now, anti-inflammatory, ideally you're eating an anti-inflammatory diet. An anti-inflammatory diet is low sugar, high healthy fats. That's an anti-inflammatory diet. But for some people, because you have arthritis, for some people because they just have some pain right now, for some people, like I did, I broke my thumb in December. It was pretty painful to come in because I don't think anybody knew, so broke my thumb. So I took this every morning and every night to have anti-inflammatory to help with the pain during it. So this has a variety of things, but just to read off a few, it has curcumin, which is a turmeric extract. It's got Indian gooseberry extract, which is an antioxidant, it's anti-inflammatory. It has these melon extracts. So I had somebody send in to me papaya extract, because again, it's anti-inflammatory, it's an antioxidant, but it was like $5 for this bottle. So again, think about that. How can you get however many papayas it takes to get the extract? Does that make sense? Think about how can it cost this much if at the store one papaya costs more or 2 papayas cost more, and it takes quite a few to get that. So that's the thing to consider. So this has a melon extract in it, and it has N-acetylcysteine, which I have in my notes here. So N-acetylcysteine is a supplement that is essential for, some people have it for anti-aging, so it helps with collagen for your skin. It increases your oxygen supply. It's actually produced in your red blood cells, so it is one of those that you don't want to take too much of, which is why we encourage people to watch out for taking individual supplements. We recommend blends for almost everybody. And then a lot of people take it for bodybuilding, again, for the oxygen supply. Because you can take, for instance, nitrous oxide to make your blood vessels dilate to help with energy when you're working out. But again, think about what that's doing if you're taking a synthetic type. So that's why I personally like blends. So Daily Defense is a blend of all these different types of anti-inflammatory things versus taking 5 bottles of all the of individual types. But again, it's all whole food. It's 100%. This is the one that, like it says, so gluten-free, shellfish-free, dairy-free, soy-free, sugar-free, salt-free, peanuts-free, and eggs-free. It goes right through and actually lists it on the label. So it's very different. So this is for pain. This is actually, when they first developed it, it was part of the Cancer Killers Protocol because it's anti-cancer. It has all these great properties, but if you're going to take a supplement for a certain thing, many people take this for pain relief specifically. So before Dr. Alex is going to come up and cover detoxes, and he's going to cover omega-3s, but because this is an all supplements talk, our next thing, which is in June, is another Shop with the Doc Many of you have been to Shop with the Doc. If you want a refresher, if it's your first time, Shop with the Doc. We go to Woodman's. We take about an hour and go through every single aisle. We have a 3-page shopping list, so we're going to go through the store, so we'll go through foods. So if you're interested in foods, where to buy it, how to buy it, sign up for Shop with the Doc in June. First time, fifth time, you're still welcome. Okay, so let's welcome Dr. Alex.
All right, great to see everyone. As Dr. Jared just mentioned, the first supplement I want to go over with all of you is Optimal Omega, or your omega-3s, where I'm sure you've all heard of omega-3 fats, omega-6 fats. It's not that omega-6 fats are bad for you, it's the ratio, where to be in proper ratio, it should be somewhere between 2-to-1 or 4-to-1 of omega-6 to omega-3 fats. But right now in the average American diet, it's estimated it's somewhere between 25-to-1 or 50-to-1 of omega-6s to omega-3s. And the reason is because all the processed foods, almost everything you go out to eat at a restaurant, although you might be ordering, say, grilled chicken, well, they cook it on the cheapest oil they can get. So a lot of it's all vegetable oils, corn oils, the omega-6 fats, which over time just cause drastic inflammation throughout the body when that ratio is off. So to get omega-3 fats naturally, the best way is through wild-caught fish, things like salmon. So like Dr. Jared mentioned, if you eat salmon, say 3 times a week, then you might not need to supplement with a omega supplement. Or you can also get some omegas from grass-fed beef, things like even bison, venison, and as well as even dairy. If it's pasture-raised raw dairy that's never been heated up, then it won't denature any of the proteins, the fats, and you'll get a lot of those good omega-3 fats from that. However, the best way is to actually take an omega supplement, because right now, well, for example, like with an omega supplement, although you can get, say, a $5 omega supplement at Walgreens, 90% of all omega fats or omega-3 supplements are actually rancid oils, where fish oil goes bad very fast, so it has to have some form of antioxidants in it, or it's going to go bad. But also, they can make fish oil from farm-raised fish, which are toxic. They can be high in mercury. They can be from large fish that are full of different chemicals and pesticides. So really, the best thing you want is like an omega supplement should have, first off, it should be from small fish. So like this one is from all wild-caught fish from Pacific Ocean, anchovies, sardines, and mackerel. And then it also has vitamin E as an antioxidant so that the oils don't go bad before you take them. Those are the 2 things you want to mainly focus on, and just you pay for what you get. Really, almost every single person is low in that. The top 4 supplements that everyone should be taking, basically, unless you're eating perfect, like we mentioned, are, like Dr. Jared went over, the vitamin D with the probiotics, some form of healthy, all natural food, whole food supplement of a multivitamin, and then the omega-3 fish oil. However, just as it's important to eat healthy and put the right foods in, it's also important to be able to detox the bad stuff. So the second supplement I'll go through here is the detox system that we have. Nowadays, there are so many different detox things you can do, as far as lemon juice and cayenne pepper. You can put the pads on your feet. You can do all different things to try to detox. However, truthfully, your body detoxes itself through the liver and the kidneys. So instead of starving yourself or even doing like the advanced plan, you're giving your body the right foods, the nutrients. So basically, just by minimizing the toxins you're putting in your body, you're going to feel better, you're going to lose weight and things like that. However, to help get the toxins out from all the foods that we're eating, all the makeups, all the chemicals throughout the body at a cellular level. With the detox system here, this actually has a 2-part system. So the cell detox versus all the proper nutrients, that's going to help your liver, your kidneys to actually function, and at a cellular level be able to get all the toxins out of the cell. And also, that's another important reason for the omega-3s, is because that number one thing is decreasing inflammation. So anytime you have like colitis, arthritis, anything that ends in itis is inflammation, and more than likely you're low in the omega-3s, so you want to make sure to take that. But so if you're having the right fats and the cell walls are healthy, well then that'll help with a detox to actually get the toxins out of the cell. However, also you may have taken a detox in the past where then you notice you're running to the bathroom all the time. That can be one of the side effects. So the great thing with this two-part system, the body detox, also comes with, the body detox, which you take at night, has activated charcoal with magnesium. So it actually helps to bind to the toxins so your body can get rid of them. It also includes things like fenugreek, peppermint leaf, ginger root, and fennel seed, which are all great to help soothe the digestive tract, so you won't have these harsh side effects when you're trying to detox and be healthy. But so that's the gist of these two. Dr. Jarrett will be right up now to actually go through in more detail with a few of the other supplements as well as with all of the Max Metabolics and then answer any questions, okay?
Last 10 minutes, everybody have it in them? Anybody feeling a little overwhelmed? No? Good. Good, good. All right, so Dr. Alex kind of kicked off. There's a few supplements that you don't take forever. So there's a big difference between a vitamin and supplementing for a certain thing. For instance, when you detox, like you said, 2 to 3 months, and then there's different ways to maintain. You do it once or twice a year. There are quite a few detoxes out there that work really well. There's one, again, from Genesis Pure, which is a capsule cleanse, which has a similar product. It has a whole bunch of different things that you consume that make your liver help you detox better, like artichoke heart extract, ginger, a whole bunch of things, seeds and things that do that. Now, another thing that is a 2 to 3 month process is called MaxGI. MaxGI is for digestion. The reason why people end up needing to take MaxGI is not because you weren't built properly, it's because of antibiotics. So for anybody that's been on multiple antibiotics through their lifetime, for anybody that eats non-organic meat or dairy, for anybody that eats out, does that cover everybody yet? So it's like, you don't want this to be a need for people, but the reality is that 70% of all antibiotic consumption is in our livestock. So to keep things so crowded together, it's prophylactically given. So it's given before they're sick, which creates, of course, immunity. And because so much is given, it stores in their fat. So when you eat meat and it has those little fat layers on it, you actually digest a certain amount of antibiotics. You can imagine there's a big difference between something that you would buy in the store and the one you get at McDonald's, but there's also a difference between, Tyson and Genio and the next level up and the next level up and the next level up. So antibiotics for chronic ear infections when you're little, whatever, what this does is your body to digest food has this huge lining of bacteria through your entire digestive tract. It's how probiotics became popular. How many people remember a time where they didn't talk about probiotics in yogurt? Activia didn't exist. Right? They didn't even talk about it. Well, of course, because of manufacturing, because yogurt naturally has probiotics, then we heat the yogurt, kill the bacteria. Now they have to add it back in because it's been killed for a different purpose. So probiotics are essential, but what happens is if you get enough antibiotics in your body and not enough good bacteria on a daily basis, it's called bad bacterial overgrowth. Think about rust on a car. What if you tried to paint rust on a car? So what if you take probiotics and you already have bacterial overgrowth? Does that make sense? So it doesn't stick. So it's for a lot of people why they have acid if you have acid reflux and you get adjusted, a lot of people it goes away. If you start to get adjusted and it proves not to be a nerve problem and you still have acid reflux, it's probably a bacterial problem. It's probably overgrowth. You hear about C. diff. You hear about a lot of these different things that go through your tract. C. diff a lot of people get when they leave the hospital. How come? Antibiotics. So what MaxGI does is it's several different essential oils and things that go through and they kill the bad bacteria, and then it also has probiotics in it that are going to reline it. So you're going to kill off the bad stuff, which is going to make an area that's easy for you to now absorb the probiotics that you're consuming on a daily basis. So again, you do it for 2 to 3 months. You might do it once a year after that if you're a very unhealthy eater, or if you end up needing an antibiotic because of a very weird situation or something, you might do an extra round of it. But you really do 2 to 3 months and then you're done. The 2 ways to know is actually this is a symptom-based consumption. The way you know you should take MaxGI is either if you deal with reflux, or if you get bloating after you eat healthy. That really annoys people sometimes. If you ever eat healthy and then you bloat and you hurt, it's actually because there's not the right bacteria to digest it. So that's why you bloat. And if you can't digest it, it goes too far down your digestive tract, and your colon uses a different kind of bacteria to digest it through fermentation, and that's where bloating comes from. Second thing is called adrenal energy. Adrenal energy is for all those people that are stressed. So again, your adrenal glands, nobody's going to be able to see this, but I'm going to point anyway, because this is your homework next time you come into the office, is point at your adrenal glands for us. Your adrenal glands are right on top of your kidneys. And your adrenal glands are what produce cortisol. They produce many of your stress hormones. One of the reasons they're important is as you age, they also start to produce some of the other hormones. Like for women, if you talk about hot flashes, well, adrenal glands are one of the things that help produce estrogen when your reproductive hormones start to stop. So what if you burn them out because you were stressed for the last 30 years? Does that make sense? They're not going to work. It's burnout. That's why you hear about adrenal fatigue, adrenal burnout, stress hormone burnout. Well, what adrenal energy does, you take it for 2 to 3 months, and it's the fuel to help your body repair your adrenal glands so you start to regulate your hormones better. So again, you don't take it forever. You take it for, we typically recommend 2 to 3 bottles, and then you stop. But for a lot of people, because the stress didn't go down in their life, then they start to take MaxFit on more stressful days. So for some people that's once a week, for some people that's every day. It depends on your lifestyle. So those are a couple of the ones that are just short term. A couple other the ones that I want to cover. One's glucosamine. I get asked about glucosamine a lot, especially by athletes. So glucosamine can help with joints. Glucosamine falls, in my opinion, similar to the adrenal energy, because if your joints are deteriorating and you don't have enough of the repair stuff, you take glucosamine, it absorbs into the joints and it helps protect them. But you actually should be able to tell a difference with taking glucosamine. Either your joints feel better, or if you've taken it for a month and they don't feel any better, either you don't have a quality product or your joints aren't missing glucosamine. That's not why they're hurting. So glucosamine and chondroitin is sometimes beneficial, but sometimes it isn't. So to show a few of these, again, these are individual supplements. I almost exclusively don't recommend individual supplements except vitamin D. But when we talked about turmeric is one that some people take. There's all these are for arthritis. So there's willow bark, boswellia extract, MSM, and some of these are good. But I personally, again, prefer blends because like this willow bark comes out at $3.99, $3.99. So it's really difficult to get a real high quality. So the other hard part is, since the company doesn't have to release it, even when I looked on the website, they didn't have to tell you anything about it. It just said the benefits. Glucosamine we just covered. Now there are some other. I've had people say, well, what about like Sinucare is one that's good. It's got a whole bunch of different. It's got like eucalyptus. It's got a bunch of essential oils. There's a company called Brachial Clear, which again is mostly an essential oils based thing. There is this is probiotics, which again, if you're taking the vitamin D, you don't really need to take additional probiotics. Melatonin, some people find melatonin to be great for sleep. It's one of those things where you have to try that one, but again, you want to look for ideally a whole food supplement, and even just a higher price supplement or one that has the good manufacturing practices or the grade on it. Oregano oil, many of you have come in and been a little bit sick or debated going to get an antibiotic. You know that we love recommending oregano oil because the essential oil oregano is great for both viruses and bacteria. And it doesn't have all the side effects of an antibiotic. So you can consume it, you can put it on your feet. And oregano oil is great. The big thing about most of the last ones that I just listed is essential oils. The two most proven therapeutic grades of essential oils are either doTERRA or Young Living. So a lot of these products have it, but they're high enough grade that you can consume them, because a lot of the cheaper oils they'll actually say for external use only. That means that the processing of them is poor enough that it's not safe to ingest. But for something like a Sinuclear or something where it's going to, where you can ingest it, it's got to be at least the lowest grade that can be digested by humans legally. Versus for me, if I'm putting it in my body, I want the best grade that should be digested by humans. So right now there's only 2 companies that fall under that, again, doTERRA and Young Living. The last couple here, one of these, Feverfew. which is for migraines. Again, a lot of it's very cheaply, so it's got to have some processing issues. And we talked about like the papaya or a fruit enzyme extract. A lot of these things really do help with protein breakdown. But for instance, like in Daily Defense, it's in there in a blend, so it has all the other benefits as well. Antioxidant blends I love, but again, antioxidants are in there. I had somebody bring in a vanilla. So this was a Genesis Pure shake, and as I already mentioned on the proteins, GMO free, so it was better, but it still had soy protein isolate. If you notice, there's certain companies like Genesis Pure, like some of the stuff that's better. Again, a couple Plexus products. BioCleanse, this has vitamin C, magnesium, some sodium bicarbonate, and then it has a bunch of biflavonoids, which in fruit, actually, the healthiest part of the fruit's the peel for most things. So, but the hard part is how many people enjoy eating the outside of the orange, right? It's just not very good. You know, in Maximize Living about 8 years ago, they used to have a product that actually had ground up orange peel and stuff that you put in it. But I'll tell you, like a teaspoon ruined your smoothie. You just had to plug your nose and go. So like for instance, this BioCleanse does have this in capsules, so you're skipping the taste part. And then this is a probiotic, so ProBio 5, so it's got a whole bunch of probiotics and digestive enzymes. I like digestive enzymes because they do help you digest, but you really shouldn't need digestive enzymes. If your stomach's working properly, if you're eating live foods and whole foods, you have digestive enzymes that are already in there. So that's kind of a side thing. Unless you have a really specific need for needing digestive enzymes, it shouldn't be as needed. Now let's go over, many of you know we do have a kids line. We have 3 of the 4 have already been produced. But so for thinking about kids, how many kids eat worse than their parents? How many grandkids? You know, how many? So what I like about this Max Kids one is it's powdered, so you can put it in their drink. Even if they refuse to drink something healthy, you kind of sneak this in because it disappears, you know, into it. But it's got fruit pectin, and then it has a whole bunch of it's got a lot of the things that are in our detox for the adults. It has things like milk thistle, which is great for liver detox. It's got some different fruit extracts. It's got olive oil leaf extract. It's got dandelion. You know, some people drink dandelion tea for detox. That's all in here. So again, you can, and it's calmer, so kids aren't running to the bathroom, just like adults don't like to be running to the bathroom. Probiotics, most kids should have probiotics, especially any kids that have ever had antibiotics for ear infections or whatever. Probiotics are essential, or if they eat those cheap meats like chicken nuggets. Anybody from the shop with the doc who can tell me how many ingredients are in a McDonald's chicken nugget? Remembers? 49? 49 ingredients in a chicken nugget. Those aren't all natural, healthy. They actually deep fry them twice. They deep fry them, then freeze them, then send them to be deep fried again. And then an omega and a D3, which kids will actually like. So I'll tell you, my son in the morning, we make a smoothie and we pour this stuff, and then he gets vitamin D and omegas poured in. He gets a little scoop of probiotics, and stirs it in and actually adds to the flavor of the smoothie. So for those people that give their kids a smoothie, you just kind of sneak it right in with the smoothie. So that's an easy thing. Or grandparents, when they come over, make an all-fruit smoothie. It'll be sweeter. You dump that stuff in, so it's a great way to get some vitamins, some probiotics, some healthy things in your kids' or grandkids' stuff. Last couple things to go over. This is a Genesis Pure. So these are, for instance, these are some basically some juices. So these are fruit. Genesis Pure is a great company. So juicing has a lot of health benefits. I know we're on supplements, but if you, for instance, if you join a co-op or if you like to juice, when you juice, you can get a lot of nutrition out of that, especially, I don't mean juicing like juicing a lot of fruits, but juicing a lot of vegetables and then putting a little bit of fruit with it to make it sweeter and more digestible or more palatable. But juicing is a great way to do that. Some people have trouble taking the time to juice or don't want to buy the juicer, go to the co-op, do this whole list. So you can buy concentrated juices where they've done that for you. So that's one thing that some people like to do. I had another person bring these in. These are isotonics. These are actually liquid vitamins, so liquid multivitamins. So this is another concept of we don't want it dried, so we want to keep it liquid, which I kind of like where they're going with that. So the multivitamin looked pretty good. It had a lot of whole food stuff. But for instance, this one, is a lot of calcium plus, which It still was the idea at one point, but we don't necessarily want the calcium. And then this one's all, this one is all antioxidants, which is great. So again, similar, that would fall into similar to like a daily defense. The more antioxidants you consume, the more free radical damage you protect against, and the healthier you're going to be. All right, how many people found that beneficial? Good. How many people took some notes? All right. So for the next thing, as I mentioned, we have the shop with the docs. Toward the end of the summer, the last week in July, we're going to have another talk like this, but we're going to go back to topics. So we're going to work on hormones. We're going to work on several different things, but you'll hear about that as it comes closer. That'll be back to the PowerPoint. You'll only get one sheet of notes for that one, but and we'll have a little more live entertainment. But I thought, this has been asked for a lot of people. Many of you, in fact, most people I see in this room have been coming for a long time. And, because you've been coming for a long time, sometimes it does get a little bit overwhelming. The more you're interested in, the more a lot of times people dive into, and the more you dive into, the more confused you get. Anybody ever done that before? The more you know, the more you don't know. So the idea for this was to condense it. For many people in this room, you should be taking less supplements than you're currently taking, not more. But get them down to the right ones, the healthy ones. Even if on a budget you take a healthy multivitamin every other day, you're better off. So for those of you that this was enough, that you understood everything, enjoy your night. For anybody that has questions, just we're going to take about a 2-minute break and just filter to the front half of the room. We'll do group questions for anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. Dr. Kyle will come around with the microphone, okay? Thank you.